I haven't done one of these indie preview videos in a while, but I had to take time out to talk about Queen's Domain, because it's probably the closest thing to a Kingsfield 5 that we're ever gonna get. I mean, the title alone is basically just an inversion of FromSoftware's old series. Instead of the field of a king, we have the domain of a queen. Clever. Queen's Domain isn't just a simple derivative practice in FromSoftware worship, though. It's got style and personality all its own just underneath its Kingsfieldian coat. There have been several superb Kingsfield-likes from indie devs over the last few years. Lunacid, Monomyth, Verho, Labyrinth of the Demon King, basically anything from Majular's Kingsfield-like video. But I don't know, something about what developer Freshly Baked Games has crafted here feels both authentic to FromSoft's classic legacy, while at the same time pushes the Kingsfield design in exciting new directions. In development for over 2 years at this point, the free demo on Steam is only a small slice of the opening area of the game, yet it's packed with so many surprises and so much to discover for those that fully explore. In Queen's Domain, we take the role of a prince who's washed up on the shores of the Isle of Niseed, or Nisaid. I don't know, I suck at pronouncing shit. I still call Lunacid Lunacid. I also just think that sounds cooler. But anyway, we wind up shipwrecked and washed ashore on this island full of ruins and monsters. We're actually following the trail of our father, the king, who set out on an expedition with a company of soldiers into the large mausoleum on the island. The doors sealed shut behind them, and there's been no sign of them since. So, with nothing but a rusted sword and our own determination, we set out to explore the island to find some way to rescue the king. It's a very familiar setup if you've ever played Kingsfield 4 specifically, and the island setting with its interconnected paths and underground areas is a sure nod to the island of Melanot from Kingsfield 2, or just Kingsfield as it was known for its North American release. We even have the Kingsfield 3 compass. But despite those narrative, geographical, and cosmetic similarities, the setting and vibe of Queen's Domain feels less gloomy than Kingsfield's. The forested island is lush and colorful, with moss and vines on rocks and stone structures. I was getting some Eco and Shadow of the Colossus vibes from some of the environments and architecture. There's a ton of detail packed into every corner of this place. The graphics have a PS 1.5 level to them. Not quite as crisp as a PS2 game, but more detailed than a typical PS1 title. You can also play around with some of the visual settings if you're not a fan of the dithering, or retro resolution as it's called in the graphics options, and you can sharpen up the image if you want. I kept everything default for this footage. The music is also fantastic. The Kingsfield series had some absolute bangers that still get stuck in my head, even though it's been years since I've last played them. And Queen's Domain seems to be up to the task of crafting moody backdrops to all of its exploration and combat. The visuals and soundscape creates a vibe that, on the surface, harkens back to the FromSoftware classics, while still managing to establish its own identity. And that's a theme that runs through every aspect of Queen's Domain's design, both in its presentation and gameplay. We have a stamina bar that drains completely after one attack, with subsequent swings being weaker depending on how full the bar is when we attack again. Holding the attack button lets us charge up a more powerful blow, the strength of which again depends on how full the bar is when we let go of the button. Weapons also have unique secondary attacks that can be performed. Our rusted sword, for example, does a quick forward thrust. A spear, we find, does a slash, and a wooden club does a powerful overhead swing. Speaking of those three weapons, they offer 3 different damage types: slash, stab, and smash, which are actually called slashing, piercing, and impact in-game. Enemies are, of course, weak to different damage types. The common ladybug-like ratty bugs are weak to slashing. The quick-hopping chickets are weak to piercing, while the shambling skeleton warriors are weak to impact weapons. I also have to say that I love these goofy enemy designs, smashing together 2 different creatures and just calling it that. It's so good. And while they look dopey when you stop to admire them in the bestiary, say. While playing, they're a genuine threat, and that dichotomy just works so well. I can't properly express how much I love it, and it's just another aspect that gives Queen's Domain its own personality. Up to 3 weapons can be equipped at a time, and they can be quick swapped with the tap of a button or key, giving you a lot of versatility. Weapons level up with use too, so they'll gain slight boosts to attack power and speed as you keep using them, adding a light proficiency system to the game. Meanwhile, our movement is slow and deliberate, though knocked up a few notches from typical Kingsfield movement speed. Not so fast that we'll be just zipping around everywhere, but not so slow that you feel like you're moving through molasses, like in the original games. Some purists, aka masochists, may take issue with that, but I thought the movement speed felt just right. It lends a weight and deliberateness to the combat. Timing and positioning are key. Just like in Kingsfield, circle strafing will most likely be your main tactic, but not always. Certain enemies will punish you for getting too close, even if you're circle strafing. So you'll need to create distance, backpedal out of their range, bait out an attack, and then move in for a strike. Animations are well telegraphed, and figuring out how each enemy attacks and how best to approach them is fun, and not even that punishing if you mess it up. Consumable items such as dry herbs and elixirs are used for healing. You can only hold 9 at a time though, which felt like a fair balance. There are also stationary type enemies, like the Forest Eye, which hide in high up places and shoot lasers. They remind me of the stationary Watcher enemies from Shadow Tower. How do we deal with these nuisances? Well, this is where Queen's Domain gets interesting. Ranged weapons. Now, on the surface, that doesn't sound so interesting, but it's in the mechanics of how ranged weapons work that make them special. On a little rock offshore, a short ways into your exploration of the island, you'll find a dagger belt that's washed ashore with the wreckage of your ship, allowing you to toss throwing daggers. These are not consumable items, though. The belt is magical, and the daggers replenish after a short cooldown. The dagger belt can hold 3 daggers, with hints that it can be upgraded later on. The replenishing projectiles are a godsend, because hard-to-reach enemies are abundant in this game. Instead of making it so you need to constantly be searching for or purchasing consumables, the fact that they refill after a cooldown allows the devs to turn potentially annoying foes like the giant mosquito-like Meganura into enemies that are actually fun to fight. Grab their attention and whittle them down with a few throwing daggers and finish them off when they're closer to the ground. There are 3 slots for ranged weapons as well on the equipment screen, but as far as I could find, there's only throwing daggers in this demo. The amount of damage feels balanced just right to make them useful, but not a true substitute for your main melee weapons. Though I'm sure there are going to be players who go for throwing dagger only challenge runs, I guarantee it. Speaking of challenge, it can be a tough game while you're figuring out the controls and getting used to the combat, but once you get the hang of things, I don't think it's anywhere near as difficult or as punishing as Kingsfield. I actually only died once in the 3 hours that I put into the demo, and it wasn't even to the boss. Difficulty is relative though, and I'm someone who's played through all of the Kingsfield and Shadow Tower games, so, take my comments with a grain of salt. And even though I found the demo to be on the easier side, I thought it was very well balanced. The enemies are well designed, so you need to figure out their behaviors, be aware of your surroundings, your positioning, and stick to a plan of attack, or you will die. So overall, I think the current difficulty is fair, and most importantly, fun. The game uses a save point system in the form of these glowing crystal statues, and you need to manually save your game. No autosaves or checkpoints here. You can choose to just save the game, or you can rest to replenish your health and cure status effects. Resting respawns all of the enemies in an area, but saving does not. So it's nice that you can save the game without having to worry about that. There are also slots for accessories that give status buffs, but unfortunately no armor, which is a bit of a shame. I always liked finding new armor in the Kingsfield games, even if they were just straightforward defense boosts or elemental protection. And even though you can't even see your character while playing anyway, still, it was always exciting finding new fashion and seeing number go up. Speaking of number go up, character progression is level-based with a straight experience point system, which honestly feels refreshing. I know the whole personalized skill point system gives you greater build diversity, but this isn't what Queen's Domain is about. And it's not what Kingsfield was about either. You're playing a specific character, and having your stat increases doled out evenly at each level potentially allows the game to retain more of a balance throughout. Sure, you can grind and power level, but I think a traditional experience-based level system eliminates the issue a game like Lunacid had, where you could just dump points into agility and magic and run around like some kind of mad wizard Sonic. Don't get me wrong, that was fun, but it didn't make for the most balanced experience. So yeah, I don't know what others think, but I'm down with the traditional level ups and stat gains. It also looks like there are going to be magical weapons or a magic system of some kind in the finished game, but there's nothing to play around with in the demo. Nothing that I found anyway. The goal of the demo is to find a key that unlocks the first boss, leading to a cool new weapon that we don't get to take as the demo fades out just before we reach for it. From the trailer that plays after this scene though, it appears this sword is going to change the way we traverse the island, Metroidvania style, giving us this aerial dash move that I already found a few places I wanted to make use of in the demo area alone. It's such a tease. I want that sword. I want to explore more of this place. It's such good design. A couple other features that I thought were worth noting: breakable objects that seem to require different weapon types to break effectively, some of which hide goodies, like healing items, or oh, hello, iron pineapple. Enemy numbers and positions change after performing certain actions or reaching certain objectives, so that was really neat to see. I hope the devs find some fun ways to play around with that in the finished game. There are also skeleton ambushes. Classic Kingsfield. Oh, and the boss battle here is a lot of fun, if, once again, a tad too easy for my taste. I do have one suggestion for the devs. I feel like they should add button prompts in the tutorial messages when introducing new gameplay tips. I had to spend a bit of time looking through the keybinds to find out how to throw projectiles, use quick items, and swap weapons, when that could have easily been remedied by just having that info in the tutorial blurb. I play a lot of old games, so I'm used to that, and it's easy enough to figure out as it is, but why take the player out of the game when you don't have to? Other than that though, I absolutely love Queen's Domain. There's so much more I could talk about, but I'd rather leave it up to you to try the demo on your own and uncover its secrets. It has several. I started this video off saying it feels as close to a Kingsfield 5 as we're going to get, but after playing more and writing this script, crystallizing my thoughts on it, I actually feel like it's more like what FromSoft themselves did with Shadow Tower. Queen's Domain feels like it could have been another spin-off series from the studio, using the same gameplay template, yet coloring outside the lines with its own stylistic flourishes. I can't wait to see the finished product and explore more of the Isle of Meseed, or wherever the hell I am. So, until next time, Queen's Domain. Check it out. Dungeon Chill. Out.
Thank you.